It's just like, who wants to be broken? The first words in the Beatitudes is, blessed are the broken. All right, on the count of three. 1, 2, 3, be broken. Won't work.
Welcome to Voice of the Wind, conversations between a seminary student and his dad. I'm Jonathan Paul Poland, and with me is my dad, Galen Paul. Join us as we relish in God's truth and recall his faithfulness. Episode 5, Dad's Testimony, Part 2.
So then we started a church ministry in our home when we moved to Farmington, and it was going pretty well. And God said, we were down here in Mesa for Christmas, second time one of those, and I'm out having coffee, and I'm looking up, just enjoying the clouds and the December day in Arizona, beautiful. And he goes, I want you to move down here.
Yeah.
Literally. This is 7 years after he delivered me from alcohol. So 8 years, whatever. I remember when he said, I want you to move down here, and I started crying like a baby. I go, no, Lord, no, not here.
Not again.
Not again. I've had horrible experiences down here. Remember a false brother in Christ? And we did ministry together, but it was terrible. It was like people got saved, but man, it was horrible. Yeah. I'm sitting there just pleading with him. No, please don't let us come down here. Please. I don't want to follow it. Please. And he goes, it'll be different this time.
It'll be different this time. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you were in Kentucky.
I was in Kentucky. But we were thinking about moving here. Maybe. Weren't sure. So, you moved here first before I did.
Well, I followed God. He told me to go to the desert, and we did. I said, so if you really want us to move, Father, I said, you're going to have to convince my wife because she hates the desert.
Oh, boy.
So I'm like, I guess we're going to stay in Minnesota. That's what she was.
So you're putting out that fleece.
She was looking at houses. I go, you don't want to move. And she goes, well, honey, what is God telling you? Where should we move? And I said, well, you already told me to move to the desert. And she goes, I've been looking at houses in the desert. I'm like, oh man, great. That's just great. We're going to move to the desert.
So you did.
We did.
You did.
And went to the desert.
Yeah.
And
so that's when the most recent chapter of your story began.
Yeah.
So so you were here.
I mean, I'm like, beautiful ministry in Minnesota. I got friends there, and they were broken after, I'm leaving. Why are you leaving? I said, well, God told me to move.
Yeah. And
they were saying, but it's going so good here. Galen was in refuge ministry at the home, and we have people getting saved. And I'm like, why would you want me to move, God? I'm in the desert, and oh man, a year went by, and I'm crying out to God, why am I here? Why am I here? I would cry out to you. I'd call you.
Yeah, pretty lonely. Yeah,
that's where I slipped up a couple times drinking.
Yeah, no friends.
No friends.
No ministry.
Nothing. It's just hot.
No church.
The church across the street was.
Yeah, the church across the street was like mega church, seeker sensitive.
Great rock concerts were great.
Yeah,
but
then I finally moved here.
Then you moved.
Then I finally moved here with my family, and things are good at first. But you're pretty far away. You're like an hour away. And we have kids. It's hard to get back and forth. And then COVID hits. Oh, man, everything shuts down.
Oof.
Everything shuts down. And we're afraid of getting sick. And none of us are going to church. And it's
horrible.
Everything is shut down. And you are getting words from God about why COVID exists. And,
I said, God spoke to me and said, the reason COVID hit is because of
the judgment,
the judgment on aborting babies.
Right.
Because I've been crying out for years. I wrote songs about it. I had a burden ever since you were born. I didn't think I would ever see in my lifetime Roe versus Wade being shut.
Yeah, that's incredible. And incredible mercy.
And I'm like, so I said, like judgment. Millions are going to die because of the babies that are being aborted. And you didn't even really believe me at that time.
I didn't believe that the numbers dead from COVID were going to be that high. I thought, well, things are shutting down. It doesn't look that bad. But you had a word from God that millions were going to die. and millions have died,
Millions have died.
and the numbers are still going up.
Yeah.
It's and it's interesting. Very often in the Bible, you have patterns of judgment getting really, really bad for something just before grace and mercy falls.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the judgment reaches a culmination, it's over, and now God can forgive and have mercy, and it's
And he is.
And right after
Isn't it
COVID,
cool?
Roe v. Wade gets overturned.
This is amazing. It was the best day of my life.
Yeah.
When I saw that. But back up a little.
It's incredible. So before you got sick, you got a word from God in a movie theater.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm in the movie theater.
Your ministry will start
right before COVID. I'm watching. I'm in the movie, and we're going out having a date.
Yeah, and you've been praying to God and saying, God, what am I here for?
What am I here for?
Where is my ministry?
Yeah. So I'm in the movie theater, and we're watching the previews before the show.
And you hear God speak to you.
And I'm eating the popcorn, and he speaks to me, and he says, "Your ministry is going to start when you're 65."
How old are you at the time?
I was 64 at the time.
So next year.
When I'm 65, and it's about 8 months before my birthday.
8 months before your birthday.
And so I do what any normal Christian musician, singer, songwriter, evangelist does. I start working on my new album, which is
Jesus is All You'll Ever Need. You're working on the album.
Working on the album. And
COVID
is just tailing off. It's still there. Still have to wear masks.
Yep.
Those weird worthless masks, except if you're in an operating room.
Right.
They're good.
So COVID has been in full force.
COVID in full force, and I get the album done, send it up to Brad to get mastered up in Minnesota, my producer, sends it back, we get it online, I have the album, and I start coughing.
You start coughing.
And coughing.
And coughing.
And coughing. I couldn't stop coughing. I went to the doctor, long story, they took x-rays, I have a mass in my lung. And I'm like, am I going to die? Is it cancer? And the doctor said, don't know, it could be cancer. So they take tests, and I'm waiting, and I'm coughing. I tell you, I go, I'm so angry. I'm like, what? I thought my ministry was going to start when I'm 65. It was my birthday in a week.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to have cancer. I said, well, Jonathan, remember that phone call?
Yeah.
I said, so what's this all about? What's going on? No, I'm really angry, God.
Right.
I'm like, what's going on, God? And you say, remember what you said?
Well, I said, do you think this is a coincidence that the Lord told you that your ministry was going to start at 65 and then you get this sickness? The devil obviously is trying to stop it from happening. He's
well, you actually said that, but you also said, well, this is proof.
This is proof that it was true, right?
It is true. I'm like,
this is proof it was true.
Great.
Right? Yeah.
I'm gonna die.
No, I didn't think you were going to die.
No, but I felt like I didn't know.
I told you very clearly that I did not believe you were going to die.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I needed hope.
I did not believe you were going to die.
So I'm like laying in the tub. I couldn't lay in the tub to relax because I started coughing really bad. And I remember just sitting up, and I asked the Lord, am I going to die? Mm-hmm. And he said, no, feed my sheep.
Feed my sheep.
I went, I don't have any sheep, Lord. What sheep? I left them in Minnesota.
The Lord says, my sheep, not your sheep.
Yeah, his sheep.
His sheep, not your sheep.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thanks for that clarification.
You're welcome.
So anyway, so it wasn't cancer, but it was getting so bad that I couldn't breathe. I couldn't sleep. I was coughing 12 hours a night. I was literally dying. My wife finally bought one of those.
The doctors were so backed up with COVID, and they were.
Last thing I wanted to do was go to the hospital. Because you go to the hospital, you're dead.
Yeah, and this was going on for months now.
Yeah.
So, and we were all nervous because it wasn't getting better. It was just getting worse.
Oh.
And we all thought it might be COVID, but it wasn't. And so they like, well, what is it then? And then it turned into pneumonia, and they tried to take the mass out, and they got
sicker.
You got sicker, and they did some kind of operation.
Well, then I was in the hospital.
You got worse.
Got in the hospital. They put me in COVID restriction. And that's when I started hallucinating and seeing demons and horrible stuff.
Oh, wait. Well, but before that, they did an operation on you and you got worse.
Oh, yeah. That was, I don't know what they call it, a enteroscopy thing. Where they try to clean out the lung, and they didn't do it. But anyway, then.
So then Lynn saved your life.
Lynn got me a indicator for oxygenator to tell the test how much oxygen I had. Well, normal oxygen is supposed to be at 95 to 99. Well, I was at 73.
73.
And I think your mother-in-law, Christine, and a friend of ours that were a nurse said, he's dying, get him into the hospital. But she said, Galen, you got to go.
I know you don't want to go into the hospital, but you have to go.
I said, Lynn, if I go into the hospital, I'm not coming back.
And you were afraid.
And so I go, but I'm going to die here. So, okay. And they called the ambulance and took me in. And she was waving goodbye to me while I go into the ambulance. And she thought, this could be because she couldn't visit.
Yeah.
But it was the day after they lifted restrictions to where someone can come and visit for 6 hours.
Wow.
Thank God, because I had my wife there for 6 hours. But they had me in COVID restriction, and that almost killed me. And then I was transferred to the other hospital. They had put me in COVID restriction again. I'm dying. I can hardly breathe. And they're putting me in COVID restriction because they think it's COVID. Got tested like 8 times for COVID by now. Mm-hmm. Never had COVID. It was just an infectious lung disease. Or infectious lung pneumonia.
Yeah. Pneumonia was secondary. We don't know how it started.
Don't know how it started.
Yeah.
I think it was from a mask. But anyway, a dirty mask I was wearing, but whatever, we don't know. So anyway, they did the operation and came out. I didn't know I was on a ventilator for 5 days. I had no idea. I know I was fighting demons the whole time with all the drugs they had on me, in me. And as they were pulling the tube out of my throat, I'm laying there awake and didn't know what was happening. I couldn't move my arms. I couldn't lift my hand to my face. Am I paralyzed? The nurse said, no, you've just been in a ventilator for 5 days and your muscles have atrophied. And I went, wow. And I was just angry. I'm like, what is going on? And all the demons I was fighting in my head while I'm under the anesthesia was horrible. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and I was so, one of the reasons I was so angry is because so many of my friends a couple of my friends that had a near-death experience saw Jesus. And I'm like, am I saved? What's going on? I'm just seeing demons.
Yeah, but you never died.
I never died.
You never died.
Yeah, right. I was close.
You were unconscious.
I was very close, but the doctor said to my wife, he goes to her, we got him on a ventilator. And she said, I want to be honest with you that he's very, very sick.
Right.
And he's probably not going to make it. Boom! I back up when I'm in this movie theater. When he speaks to me that your ministry is going to start when you're 65, he tells me to get in shape physically.
Get in shape.
And I'm
physically.
Like,
yeah,
okay. So I start working out, golfing, every couple of days and walking the course in 112-degree heat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. I'm getting in shape.
You might not have survived.
And the doctor said he wouldn't have, I don't think he would have survived, but your husband is very strong.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, God, it is so cool.
Yeah.
Tells me to get in shape.
Yeah.
I thought that what Paul says, bodily exercise profiteth little.
Yeah.
But with me, it profited a lot.
Yeah. No, from my perspective in all of this, I was very upset too.
Yeah, you were going through something.
I was very upset. Well, I mean, COVID was horrible for me at work. I didn't have any time for anything because UPS, where I work, was, turning into a 50-hour-a-week job, and I was going to school, and I had a family, and I had no time for anything. I was getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night.
Wow.
And then my dad, you get sick, and I don't think you're going to die. I don't believe that God is saying that to me, but then you just keep getting worse and worse and worse. And I wonder, like, is God taking my dad away from me when I don't have time to see him? I don't have time to do anything. And I'm praying all day long at work while I'm lifting boxes, just pleading with God to save you, and it was such a hard time for me. And I finally get to visit you, and I'm there for 6 hours, and I'm in your room, and you're very weak, and you're ventilated, and you're unconscious, and I'm praying over you quietly under my breath. I'm singing Keith Green songs, and I'm singing your old songs to you, just hoping you can hear me, and and then I leave, and I don't know if I'm ever going to see you again, And I remember praying that day, uh, God, just please, please heal him, bring him back, and I'll tell everybody that you did it. I'll tell everybody that it was you, not me, not because of my prayer, And I knew other people were praying too, so I wasn't going to take the credit anyway.
Yeah.
But later that night, we get the call that you were off the ventilator.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that night?
Later that night. I remember getting the call or the text, whatever, and running upstairs and letting everybody know that you were off the ventilator.
Really? I didn't know that.
And yeah,
cool.
An amazing miracle. Now later that night, you had oxygen problems and they thought you might die.
Yeah.
And so you kind of regressed.
I regressed. I wasn't receiving the oxygen well. My body wasn't, the lungs weren't. And Lynn was praying, and it was 11:45 at night. She couldn't be she was at home. And the nurse said, we're going to have to put him on the ventilator, but we're going to try one more thing. We've tried everything we could. We're going to try one more oxygen something. And Lynn remembers looking at the clock. She goes, because the nurse said at midnight, we got to put him back on the ventilator. And Lynn remembers looking at the clock 1 minute before 12. The nurse calls and says, he's receiving the oxygen we're giving him.
It was like their last chance. There was like
I would have been dead.
You would have been dead. Like, yeah.
I couldn't have survived another ventilator thing. So, but yeah, I'm here.
So you recovered. Ooh. And this whole time you're wondering, like, what kind of ministry is this? What kind of ministry is this? How, like, what
it is, Jonathan, is this. When I was so angry in recovery, and Lynn looks at me and she says, do you want to die? Because I was off the ventilator, but I was just angry.
Yeah.
I couldn't breathe real good, and they tried to stand me up and I was collapsing. And
yeah. Do you wish that you had died? Do you even want to be alive? Like,
yeah, she goes, do you want to die? And I went, wow, it'd be so easy just to slip away.
Right.
Yeah. I had to make a choice.
And then she says, I have to show you something.
And she showed me the picture.
The picture on her phone of you ventilated.
On the ventilator.
Unconscious.
And I looked at that.
You looked at that.
I looked at a dead man.
Yeah, you looked like you were dead.
I looked like a dead man.
Yeah, completely weak.
And it kind of just all of a sudden hit me. Oh, God brought me to the desert to die. Ha! And I said, okay. And I got to say, there was all the demons I was fighting in my mind when I was on the ventilator, there was one experience. I was on the lap of this Spanish woman, it seemed like she was, and she was gentle, but my head was in her lap and she was above me, and she was taking diamond earrings out of my ears. And I said, please don't take these earrings. They're my wife's earrings. And there she gave them to me. And I had earrings when I was a rock person, rotten bands.
Don't steal my earrings.
Don't steal my diamond. I haven't worn diamond earrings for 25 years.
Yeah.
But she was taking the diamond earrings out of my ears. And I was saying, come on, don't steal. And she goes, I'm not stealing them. I'm not. Yes, you are. You're stealing them. I'm on a ventilator and this is happening. And she goes, no, I'm not. Then she started putting wooden earrings.
Yeah, she's replacing them with wood.
She replaced them with wood, cheap earrings, and I was upset. And I didn't.
Now this woman wasn't really there. You were hallucinating.
Well, I was hallucinating.
Right.
Yeah, it was a hallucination.
This was not a real nurse.
But I kind of think it was an angel. Because it wasn't those demonized angels, right, nurses, whatever. This is this gentle, sweet-spirited one. But she put the wooden earrings, and I didn't know what's with the wooden earrings.
Yeah. You're like, what could this possibly mean?
So later, a few months later, after I'm recovering and getting well, I think I remember talking to you, or before that, I went, oh, the diamond earrings represented me being in the spotlight.
Right.
Look at me.
You used to wear them as a rock star, right?
Look at me.
Right.
I'm a rock star. No. Yeah. Hopefully now they're replaced with wood. The cross.
The cross.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Hopefully now, like we sang the Keith Green song, His image in my soul,
Yeah.
His
So
one and only goal, His image in my soul.
like, circumcised ears, circumcised ears that can hear and be humble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope they see Jesus now.
Right. So,
not me.
But so the other thing too is, God was doing things in our family while you were unconscious.
Yeah.
Things that we've been praying for and waiting for for a long, long time.
Yeah, family members that I had prayed for years were getting saved. Delivered.
We're repenting. We're coming back to God.
We're getting off of alcohol. If I would have been well and in my main ministry and all that stuff would have been happening, I would have gone.
Right.
No, I was unconscious.
You couldn't take any credit for it.
I couldn't take any credit for it.
Yeah.
It was like,
So God had to make you unconscious so you wouldn't take the glory.
So this is another podcast, but does God really need us? Does he need me?
No. He wants us.
He wants us. He desires to use us.
He's giving us the privilege of participating with him in his work.
We're partners.
Right.
And just like he doesn't need anything. In his presence is a fullness of joy. There's right hand or pleasures forevermore. I don't need you, but I want you.
Right.
Galen, will you just let me kill you so I can use you?
Right. Yeah.
That's backwards.
Yeah. It takes us a long time to learn that lesson.
It's hard.
It's a very important lesson to learn, that we're not as important as we think we are, that it's God's work, not our work.
Yeah, Rich Mullins has a song, We're Not As Strong As We Think We Are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to learn that. It sets you free when you know it.
Yeah, it takes a lot of pressure off.
It takes a lot of the pressure off, yeah.
He's going to do it.
Yeah.
That's why I remember praying for my brother when he was really sick and he was dying, and he was an atheist. And my mom said, come and pray for Dwayne. And Mom, he doesn't believe in God. So I'm praying for him, and I'm like terrified. I'm like, all of a sudden I said, okay, Lord, this is when I'm just a baby Christian. I was a year old. And I was told to lay hands on the sick and they shall recover. So I'm praying for him. And all of a sudden I'm like really disturbed, because what happens if he doesn't get healed? He's going to really be an atheist then. And I'm getting upset. And all of a sudden I go, okay, God, I'm doing my job. I'm praying for him. Now do your job. You're the one that heals. I can't heal. So in Jesus' name, amen.
Yeah.
I put my hands up and he gets healed. Boom.
Right.
Right there.
Yep.
Falls on his face and he gets healed.
An incredible miracle.
Incredible miracle. And I'm like, wow.
Just instantly he gets better.
But Jesus did it.
Yeah, Jesus did it. And that was an interesting story, because it was a legit, and he became
a Christian because of that.
Yeah. So the very interesting thing about that story is his healing didn't stick, because his atheist wife came home later that day and he was excited and he told her, honey, you'll never believe this. Galen prayed for me and God healed me. And she said, it'll pass.
Yeah. It's just your imagination.
Right. Yeah. And sure enough,
20 minutes later,
he was
doubled over,
crippled again.
Took him to the hospital. I'm like, oh, what is going on?
God, and so then he calls you into the room.
Yeah, I walked into the room in the hospital. He had IVs in, and I'm looking. I must have looked forlorn.
Yeah.
Like,
man, what?
Yeah. And I'm walking up to Dwayne.
Why didn't it stick?
And he takes my hand and he says, I'll never forget what happened.
I'll never forget what happened. Yeah, because he knew it was real.
That was so
He knew the healing was real. He's like, I'll never forget what happened. Yeah. So even though it didn't stick.
My brother's in heaven.
I believe it. Because of a miracle.
I
hope so.
So all you that don't believe in miracles, God still does miracles.
Yes, he does. And he still speaks, So your ministry, was an incredible ministry that started when you were unconscious. And it's still going.
I can see it now. Unconscious ministry.
But you have an incredible testimony. And I pray that the Lord will continue to use you and that your ministry will just get stronger and stronger. And that the Lord's work through you will advance and go further and further. And I pray that somebody was blessed by this testimony, and it's going to, I'm going to break it up into 2 parts at least.
Yeah, it's long.
I'm going to break it up into 2 parts, but I pray that it blesses people and that it goes forward, it spreads, and that the Lord uses you to bless many, many people, and
in Jesus' name,
many people will be saved. It's God is real. Jesus is still saving.
Yes.
Jesus is still healing.
And if he's speaking to you, all you have to do is say, okay, take it.
Okay, take
my life.
That's how
come to the cross.
That's how it all started with you.
Yeah.
And if God had never done that in your life, then I wouldn't even exist, let alone be saved.
There's someone contemplating suicide right now. All you have to do is just say, take it.
Yeah.
Take my life, Lord Jesus.
Yeah.
I give it to you.
Yeah. Don't throw it away. Give it to Jesus.
Give it to Jesus.
Yeah. It belongs to him.
He will transform you.
He will use it. He will multiply it. Yeah. Yeah. If that,
God bless you.
Yeah. That little boy with the 5 loaves and the 2 fish had said, no, it's my food.
Yeah. Give it away.
But no,
take it.
But Jesus asked for it. Everything is his anyway. The boy says, okay, here it is. It's yours. And Jesus takes it and multiplies it. And guess what? That boy got to eat too.
Yeah.
That boy got to eat too, but his 5 loaves and 2 fish fed 5,000 people.
Amen.
Jesus can take our lives, which is not ours anyway.
Yeah.
If we give it to him,
it's just a loan.
It's just a loan. We give it back to him, and he will multiply it, and he will use it to touch thousands.
Yes.
He will use it to touch millions.
Yes.
And if we keep it for ourselves, if we're selfish, if we bury our talent in the ground, then we won't touch a single soul, and we'll end up perishing ourselves. We'll eat our 5 loaves and 2 fish and starve to death.
Yeah. If I would have stayed in Minnesota, we would have never done this podcast.
Yeah.
And I would have never got sick.
Yeah. But then you wouldn't have your testimony.
I wouldn't have this testimony.
You wouldn't have your testimony.
It's just like, who wants to be broken? The first words in the Beatitudes is, blessed are the broken. All right, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, be broken. Won't work. It's like, okay, come on, who wants to be broken?
Mm-hmm.
Me. I don't want to be broken.
Yeah, we have to be.
We have to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, God bless you, Jonathan. I love you.
Love you too. And we'll do it again. Probably won't be in person. It'll be
split screen.
It'll be split screen again. Yeah.
But this is great.
This is fun. Thanks for joining us on Voice of the Wind. Leave a like or a comment, or subscribe if you're on YouTube, or write us a review if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast app, and share this with your friends. Hope you can join us next time.